Mihai part. So also the supporters of Vlad could stay more with us for sure.
Yes.
So Mihai, thank you for your patience. Welcome to meet the founders of SeedBlink. And I will shoot the same questions just to have an intro before the pitching. How did you start with Sypher, and how the idea came?
Okay, thank you, Andrei, for the introduction and for the invitation today. So our story, actually, my story and Sypher story started in 2016 when the GDPR regulation was published, and all the companies had 2 years to start to comply with it. Now, this kind of regulation existed before, but what specifically changed was very high fines and sanctions for companies that didn't respect the regulation. And at that moment, me and Christian, who is my other co-founder and the CTO of the company, we started to discuss about the opportunity to launch a product on this market. And why? Because, as I was saying, privacy regulation existed before, but people wouldn't really take it seriously because the fine was cheaper than getting a lawyer to sort things up. So the market was really very, very low developed. So we saw this as an opportunity to start something on the market. We started to look around and to say, okay, what solutions are there? What are the companies looking for? So we went to conferences, we discussed with lawyers, with potential clients. And sometimes at around like the mid 2017, we basically focused on our MVP and we decided what was going to be our product and how we are going to start. We started work on the MVP. We launched in January 2018, which was about 4 or 5 months before the regulation came into force. And from then, we actually got good traction for the MVP. We got the first customers, and we always got paying customers. We never got, I mean, we gave trial accounts, but we never counted the trial account as a customer. So only when someone went to use the solution and pay for it. And then at the October 2018, we got the first round, and this is why when we grew the team, so we added developers, sales, and marketing, and we pretty much spent the next 3 years until now focusing a lot on developing the product, so moving from the MVP to the mature product, which is able to compete with the other companies on the market. And right now, just to summarize before going to pitch, we're at the stage where we're moving from product focused, we have a good product, a mature product, to marketing focused. So this round is specifically about growth, and we are investing most of the money in marketing and sales, because this is the moment when we are switching from MVP to a good product, and we need to make people aware of it. Yeah. So
let's see the presentation. And again, whenever you have questions for Mihai, now it's a good moment to put them in the Q&A module session. So
what is Sypher? We call Sypher a virtual assistant that helps businesses assess, document, and maintain GDPR compliance. That's the short definition. So if you work in privacy, it does a lot of things to help you with. But I think everybody heard about GDPR. We all know that companies need to comply with it. And Sypher basically provides step-by-step guidance for companies to manage compliance. Yeah. Something about what we did so far. So we have more than 100 clients in 5 countries. We have clients in most of them in Romania, but also in France, Luxembourg, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Poland. Our clients are typically medium, large companies or representatives of multinationals. We have a very high renewal rate. So if a customer starts using our solution to document compliance, this is an ongoing business, so they tend to stick with us. And we don't have a lot of fixed costs. The infrastructure, it's a very low cost. The average lifetime of the customer is over 2 years, and that's only because we only started a few years ago. So most of the customers are still with us. And the market is still hot and growing. So what we're doing right now, we are raising around 550,000 euros. There are 40% already committed, and the purpose of this round is to basically triple the number of companies that use the platform from 100 to more than 300. Okay, now something about the founding team. Me and Christian have a lot of experience in the market, and in the market we had experience before because Christian is a co-founder of ePayment, which is now PayU and has exited to Naspers. He was a CTO there, and as a CTO, as you know, ePayment, which is now PayU, was managing credit card data, so it was a lot of security awareness and things they had to do. I have been working for about 8 years with two of the largest brokers, insurance brokers in the world, which is Aon and Marsh. And I have experience in the insurance market. And when I started a company developing software for insurance brokers and insurance companies, and insurers already had this kind of requirements on security and data privacy before everybody else did. So we were quite familiar with the problems that they had and realized a lot of businesses would have the same problems, would have to ensure data privacy much better than they did before. Okay, now the big question which you might ask, because GDPR appeared, entered into force in 2018, is this still a thing now? And yes, it is, because from our experience, this is a moving target. Nobody is ever finishing doing GDPR. So you always have something to do. And companies are basically trying to do the best to stay ahead of potential problems, but they never finish what they do. And this is also because you have a specific requirement in the regulation to review data on a regular basis. So you can't say I finished and I don't do it again. It's something, it's a cycle that you have to do all the time. And then there is the thing that the privacy teams are quite small. So it's usually like 2-3 people, and they have to deal with a lot of information and chase people around. And for them, it's very hard to keep up with changes, especially if it's a large organization. And especially if this organization uses spreadsheets to manage information, which is something that a lot of companies did when GDPR appeared, because there were no actual tools for them to use. So they just use what they have. Now, there is also the problem that the typical privacy management software tends to be expensive and hard to use, like most of the B2B software. And recently, you might have seen that authorities are much more expert of dealing with problems and more effective of giving fines to companies that do not manage compliance. So if you have a customer complaint, you are much more likely to get a fine. We can say like the honeymoon period is over. So you had a few years to get your things straight. If you didn't, then they are not going to be very sympathetic to you. Okay, something about the market size. We are right now in the privacy management software market, which is estimated at around 1 billion for this year and is growing at about 40% per year. And this is also part of the much larger governance, risk management, and compliance market, which is basically all the other regulations you have to comply with, which is now estimated at about 25 billion and also still growing. So what we are targeting right now in terms of market size, it's about 500,000 companies that have a data protection officer, and this is only in Europe. And these are not outside. There are other companies outside Europe, because even if you are in the US, if you serve customers in Europe, you still have to comply with GDPR. And the next step for us is to expand our software. So in the next maybe 2 years, to also start covering other areas of governance and risk compliance, because some of our clients, we actually sell to compliance managers, and compliance managers are responsible for GDPR, but also for the other things. So for us, it's a logical next step to offer additional options for the platform, and we are in a good position to do this because our platform is configurable, so we can pretty much, it's like loading another cartridge with another regulation that the customer can start documenting. Okay, something about competitors. There are 3 kinds of competitors. So there is the big elephant in the room, which is OneTrust, which if you are in the privacy management market, you know about it. They have like 5 billion capitalization and a lot of funding. They tend to offer all the possible features. They are quite expensive, and they grew a lot by acquiring new businesses. And this is like modules that they find valuable for their suite. And this is actually one of the potential exits for us, to being bought by one of the top competitors on the market. Then there are regional players like DP Organizer, PrivaIQ, and Sypher. And there is most of them are what we are doing is we are trying to copy the best features that the others are offering, like the number one. What we are doing is we are actually looking at what the customers are using, and we are looking at how to make their life easier. And we are, our key differentiator to other platforms is we offer them a simple experience, an easy to use experience, and easy to integrate. So moving from spreadsheets, which like 70% of the companies still have, to Sypher, it's much easier than moving to any other platform. You do much less training because we have the virtual assistant, and the experience is consistently, our clients have a pleasant surprise, and they say, yes, I like how the platform looks, I like that it's easy to use, and I like that I don't have to spend a lot of time to manage this, because compliance is not something that businesses are doing like marketing, it's something they have to do. They have to do, but they don't want to spend a lot of time and training on this. Okay, who do we sell to? We basically have three types of customers. We mainly sell to the problem owner, which is the data protection officer, which is basically the person who is advising the company on data protection. So they are the ones who are looking, what do you do? And they're saying this is good, this is wrong. And they need to have a very good understanding of what the company does, and they need to keep an eye on everything that's going on. And for them, Sypher provides a big improvement over the spreadsheets, which are basically impossible to manage, update, and understand what's going on there. And then we also address the C-level market, because from a management perspective, when we speak to a CEO, they don't know about GDPR, but they are responsible for compliance. They are actually the legal person. So if you have a fine, they are the ones legally responsible to shareholders, so to the other companies in the group. It's not the DPO. The DPO is the data protection officer. They are not legally responsible for problems. It's the CEO. And the CEO can't stay and look at endless reports to understand what's going on. So they need an easy proxy to look at and understand how well are we doing with compliance. And they also need to have a way to maintain the knowledge and to keep the continuity of the process if the DPO leaves or if the person in charge. Because if you have someone who has a lot of knowledge in their head and they leave, then you have a lot of problems of understanding where you are, especially if you get a complaint at that specific time. And the third market we are targeting, is the consultant. And we actually work very well with companies providing the service of a DPO, because you can choose to have a company as a DPO instead of hiring a person. And we also with consultants who have to deliver multiple projects to multiple clients. So if you are an advisor, if you're a consultant or a DPO, and you have many clients, Sypher allows you, first of all, to get a clear history of what you did for a client, to make sure you're not missing important things, and to work more effectively, because we offer the option to use what we call model projects, which means when you start with a new customer, instead of starting from scratch, you can pretty much copy paste the parts that are relevant for that customer. And like 70 to 80% of the register is quite similar, so you can copy a lot of things and just put the details that are relevant for that specific client. Okay.
Mihai, just to be aware, maximum 2 minutes in order to timing.
Yeah, so I will skip this. You can see this short movie if you want to see how the assistant works. You can see this on our website. It's like 1 minute movie, so I'll skip this. Okay, now our pricing model, we are a software as a service. We have packages starting from about 600 euros per year, and business it's about 2,000 euros, and enterprise about 4,000 euros, and the client, depending on the number of companies, of contracts, of options, etc., it can go up to 10,000, 20,000 euros per year. We have a very good renewal rate, I was saying. We offer multiple installing options, so you can have the platform in the cloud or on your servers on a separate cloud. It's really up to them. And we sell directly to end customers, but also through consultants and advisors and local partners. What we are doing right now, so the purpose of this round is specifically to grow. So we have spent last year investing heavily in the virtual assistant, which basically allows us to get anyone into the platform and start using it with minimal or no training. So instead of having someone, when someone asks for a demo, We don't have to spend hours and hours to show them how to use the platform. We can have a quick call, tell them, look, this is how you use the assistant, and then they can go on their own and just ask us if they need something. And this is helping us on the next stage to scale up. So when we start to invest in marketing much heavier, we are able to take a lot more leads than we were a year ago. Yeah. We're also developing the next generation of virtual assistant, which is basically we are removing a lot of friction that exists right now when you start to use a B2B platform. So normally a user will have to do a user account, they'll have to log in, to do training, to follow tasks, etc. So we are replacing this with kind of like a Zoom link. You get a link from the platform if you work in marketing, let's say, and then you get step-by-step questions to fill in, and then you go back to your job. You don't have to learn the platform every time you use it. We are also adding new features, as I was saying, for GRC and other GDPR related features. And in terms of team, we are adding developers, sales, and customer success manager. Now we're pretty much to the end, so we can take time to answer questions. And as about the email address, they're on the screen, so if you want to contact us, I'll leave them here.
Okay. Have you do you intend to also play the video with the demo or with the product?
No, I don't think it's necessary because it's on the website. So
okay, that you mentioned already is the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
I'm just making the announcement that Sypher will start the campaign next Tuesday on the 7th. So the most of the information, actually the executive summary will be sent before, will be provided before, but the full information package will be available starting with next Tuesday. Okay, we start with the Q&A. Thank you for the questions that we already received. An important news today: WhatsApp has been fined 225 million euro for breaking several of the European Union data privacy rules, including one that requires companies to properly inform citizens how their personal data is handled. This happened, so this is breaking news 30 minutes ago. Probably you have not been aware, Mihai. Should they have used your product, how would you have specifically helped them to avoid such fine?
Yeah, so to answer your question, yes, if you really use our platform, it helps you identify potential problems where you have to look at. And I'll just give another example. WhatsApp is like an extreme case. I mean, they really know what they're doing and they are a huge company. So it's not our, let's say, not our typical customer. But let's move to the typical large company, let's say in Romania or a regional company. And what it happens is that GDPR tends to be focused a lot on managing security of data. And if you look at the fines that are given, they are really given because someone hacked a database or a server and ran away with the data. They are fined for things like someone posted a document on sent it somewhere or put it on Facebook, or it was left at the reception like a hotel in Romania. And this is because IT usually in large company tends to have a good understanding of the risk because they are the same risk as the business risk. So they are protecting the database because it's their business interest. But there is this area, let's say gray area, where companies tend to not pay attention, and which is the risk which are targeting data from a customer's perspective, not from a business perspective. And I'll give an example. Like someone is publishing a funny email with what the client said, and it has personal data in there. Now for the business, they don't really lose money because someone is laughing at the customer, but for the customer, this is a problem. And this is not on the radar for IT because IT is managing the servers and everything. But in Sypher, we identified this problem. And when you document an activity, we have specific flows and questions which are asking you, okay, so we know what servers you're using, we know your people are using laptops and VPNs, etc. But what about the documents you are moving around physically or electronically? Where do you store them? Where do you get them from? Where do you send them to? And what are the security measures you have in place? So we have a specific layer to analyze some things that are outside of the reach of the IT. which IT is not asking, but the DPO is quite interested to know about it and to make sure they have controls in place. So we are actually looking at the fines on a regular basis, and we ask ourselves the same question. Could Sypher have prevented this kind of fine? And if we see, okay, this is a new case, we are looking what can we do? How can we update the platform to help our customers avoid this kind of fine? So we're learning with the market also as it happens.
Thank you, Mihai. I'm also taking a question from the chat because it's not too much time to move it to the open questions. What is the revenue forecast for Sypher, and what profitability do you forecast? Do you plan to extend your services to other countries, or you plan to keep it in Romania?
Okay, so right now our MRR, it's about close to 10,000 euros per month. And after this round at the end of next year, we expect it to be almost 45,000 euros. And the growth is going to come from marketing, first of all, but it's also going to come from increasing our average pricing. And I'll take the opportunity to answer another related questions about pricing, which someone I saw has asked here. What is the tier pricing structure, which is the most preferred? So most of our customers are buying enterprise and they are paying yearly. So they are large companies that they have to have one invoice per year, and they prefer to have the full package with all the options and custom installations and things like that. And we have increased normally if the customer is adding new businesses to the contract. So in case we have a DPO in France, and as they add a new client, we also get a new client and we get a new subscription, or as they decided to add more companies from the group to Sypher. So it can be a fluctuation like this. Yeah. But normally, most of them start with the enterprise package.
Okay. So you already touched the question with the tier of pricing structure.
Yeah.
Yes, we also got the question in the chat about you mentioned already some of the details. Since this is a growth round, how do you plan to expand? What is your growth strategy, if you can detail it?
Yes. So right now, as I was saying, most of the customers are in Romania, but we also serve a few markets. We have some clients in France and in the region, our region, and in Luxembourg. So part of the plan is to focus on 3 key markets, which is France, UK, and Germany. Germany is quite a mature market. So if you are a company in Germany and you have over 10 employees, you have to have a DPO. Other companies in Europe have less requirements for this. So it's a very mature market, and it's the people there are really taking good care of respecting GDPR. And then we have France, which has a very active authority, and it's also a good market. And we have UK, which is also a large market. Now, how we approach a new market? So we normally go there and we do a segmentation. So we take a list of about 1,000 top companies that we know we want to target. Yeah, so we segment them by industry, by the size of the company, number of employees. We know how our target company looks like, and we have a specific list of companies in each country which are targeting directly with direct marketing messages, and our salespeople are calling directly. And then this is, let's say, the outbound. On the inbound, what we're doing is running campaigns in that language, on LinkedIn, it could be on Facebook, on Google, where we have some specific messages we know that people that are looking for a solution are responding to. And one of the best clicked message in our experience is, are you tired of vendors GDPR spreadsheets, or your colleagues are tired of using spreadsheets? So that's a recurring theme. People are really tired of using spreadsheets, and we see, so you would be surprised, but we periodically run some small campaigns to see how people are doing. And we find large companies that are still managing spreadsheets. So we know this is a real problem for them. So we have an outbound, we have a specific list in the country. We know this is 1,000 top companies we want to target. And then we use campaigns for others that are looking, but are not in the, let's say, in that sample, they're actively looking, to get them to ask us for a demo and start the selling process with them. And except for that, we also participate in events. So this is a good source for us to get in front of the industry and get in front of people who are actively looking for solutions and to learn about GDPR.
And one last question I got. We are also almost done with the time frame. Can you disclose who is also joining the round? The 40% amount that is covered by different investors?
Yeah, so the fund is called Sparking Capital, and they're a very dynamic private fund in Romania. We invest specifically in the seed and pre-seed moment. And we are actually committed to help us not only with money, but we are experiencing growing startups because they are really good at helping startups moving from seed to the next round level.
Okay, as I mentioned, the full package information, including the other investors and the funding structure, the round will be available on the platform starting with next Tuesday. So thank you, Mihai, for all the information in advance. And I will finish the event with a question to each of you. And I'm coming back to Vlad because now he rested for 30 minutes and he's fresh.
Yes.
If you would put yourself in the shoes of an investor, what would be the two main arguments, only two please, you would consider to invest in SeedBlink in this round?
The team, I think, is one of our strongest assets, and we were tested out, I might say like this, both in the corporate environment and also now running our own startup. We managed to grow, to get through some really hard times, and basically always ended up on top. We are really motivated. We know what to do. We have the relevant experience. This is the first one. And the other reason is that our plans are really linked with the information that we receive from outside VCs. Because this year we have spent a lot of time discussing with larger VCs that are doing large round, large Series A, 2 million and upwards. And we are not shooting blind, I might say. I mean, we took all that information, we absorbed it, and we have some very specific and clear KPIs, and we know what to do for the next year in order to achieve our next milestones and be able to raise a much larger investment round, a much larger ticket from one of the large VC companies in UK. So we have done this extensively throughout this year, and our targets are really clear.
Thank you, Vlad, and success with the campaign. As mentioned, today was the start, so you can have the full information you need on the SeedBlink platform.
Thank you, and don't hesitate to contact me because I will happily answer all questions on LinkedIn, as I said, on LinkedIn or on our website or directly on the SeedBlink platform. So thank you.
Thank you, Vlad. And Mihai, the same question for you. Okay. So for what would be the main two arguments you would consider as being an investor to join this round for Sypher?
So I would say that one of the arguments I already given, and you asked me about the fund we are investing, which is already investing in us, which is actually a very dynamic private fund, and they are committed to help us. And the number one reason is that Sypher has what, if you know the Chief Strategy Officer at UiPath, Bagamoy, had said, are there 4 success ingredients, which is the right team, the right product, a large addressable market, and the most important success factor, which is one of the most difficult to find in a startup, the right timing, when the market is growing fast and is predicted to continue growing. Because as a startup, you can choose a large market, you can build a great team, you can have a great product, but you really can't choose the timing. So you are there when it matters, or you are late and try to catch on. So we are lucky to have a great team, a great product, a large market, which is fast growing. And this is, I think, the number one reason that Sypher is a great investment opportunity.
Great, Mihai. Thank you. Yeah, indeed, find the right timing. It's not a very common approach, or sometimes you have to be lucky to reach it, or to wait, or to wait a bit for the right timing.
Exactly.
So thank you both of you. I think my colleague is ready for posting the small survey just with some simple answers. If you would invest yes or no in each of the companies present today. It's anonymous, but as I mentioned, it's a let's say a benchmark the founders could use further on for pitching. So would you invest yes or no in Sypher, and would you invest in Sypher, yes or no? And thank you for again for being part of the community of investors of SeedBlink. Today we just counted, my colleagues from marketing announced us that we have investors from 29 different countries, including Romania, of course, which is quite important for us. It's an important benchmark. So we became really international. The same are the plans both of Sypher and Sypher. So thank you again for attending this event and for the interaction. And you can see all the details on our platform for investing in the two startups. Good evening, everybody, and see you soon on our next event.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.